All unhappiness is caused by denial of the present. We think our problems are caused by our situations in life. But attachment to the past and the future, and the denial of the now, is the real problem. Ultimately, then, there's only one problem in life, and that's not living in the now. You cannot be unhappy and fully present in the moment. It's impossible to have a problem when your attention is in the now. Why is this true? When you live in the now, you either deal with, handle, or accept a situation in this moment. If you think about it, when you have a so-called problem, what it really means is that you're mentally dwelling on the situation without having a true intention or possibility of taking action now in the moment. You can't have problems if you're fully present in the moment. Perhaps you're seeking answers to your questions or problems. Notice that sometimes you receive your answer, but most of the time you don't. Why? Because you're not in the present moment when the answer arrives. Anytime your mind is out of the present moment, you cannot receive the answer that you need from higher intelligence. The answer can come in many ways and at any time, but it's always going to come in the present moment. If we spend most of our time regretting and living in the past, or worrying about the future, we place ourselves out of the moment. And this is where all the creativity and answers take place. Does it make any sense at all to desire, request, yearn, and pray for that which is closest to your heart and necessary to your life, and then not be paying attention when the answer arrives? Our point of power can only exist in the present moment. We create from this moment, whether the materialization appears instantly or later as a complex event of cause and effect. However, all creation takes place in the now. If we really understand this truth, we will have an inexhaustible supply of usable energy at our command. It's only our thoughts, attitudes, and emotions in the moment that have any power. It's not what occurred to us in the past that's going to force us on a path that we'd rather not be on. It's how tightly we hold on to the past by reliving its trauma and drama in our present moment. When we constantly worry and re-examine the past in order to discover what's wrong with the present, we reinforce the building blocks that create exactly the thing or experience that we're trying to escape. Now, why does the mind habitually resist the now? It's because the mind, or your ego, cannot function and remain in control in the present moment. Your mind only knows about your past personal history and the cumulative mindset that you inherited. In order for the mind or ego to remain in control, it must continuously seek to cover up the present moment with the only thing that it knows, and that's the past. Let me ask you a question. Can you free your mind whenever you want to? Have you found the off button? If you're constantly focusing on the past or the future, you're not using your mind is using you. You don't even know that you're its slave. It's almost like being possessed without knowing it. Now, if you find it difficult to live in the now, try this. Stand back and just observe the habitual tendency of your mind wanting to escape from the now. You'll observe that the future is usually better or worse than the present. If the imagined future is better, it gives you hope, pleasure, and anticipation. If it's worse, it creates anxiety. But both are illusions. Now, don't judge or analyze what you observe. Watch the thought, feel the emotion, observe the reaction, and just become the silent watcher. And this is going to help you to focus on the moment, because the moment you realize that you're not present, you are present. Notice when you're fearful. The psychological condition of fear is an illusion, because it has nothing to do with any true and immediate danger. Now, this comes in many forms: unease, worry, anxiety, nervousness, dread, phobias, fear of loss, fear of failure, fear of being hurt, and so on. This kind of psychological fear is always about something that might happen, not something that's happening now. Your mind or your ego tries to solve problems, but problems of the mind cannot be solved with the mind. You must go beyond what your mind is telling you, because its only reference point is the past. It tries to create the future out of the past. And it only takes a single choice, a simple decision that no matter what happens, you will no longer try to live in the future or the past. Now let me ask you another question. Are you worried about something right now? Do you have a lot of what-if thoughts? If this is the case, ask yourself, what problem do I have right now? Not tomorrow, not 5 minutes from now, but right in this moment. And what you'll discover is that you have no problems in this moment. If you fully understand this and live in the present moment, all your so-called problems will disappear. Also, look at your goals. Are your goals taking up so much of your time and attention that you reduce the present moment as a means to an end? Are you waiting to start living? If you develop this pattern of waiting, no matter what you achieve or what you get in the present, it'll never be good enough. Why? Because when you get what you want, the future will always seem like it holds something better. And this is a recipe for permanent dissatisfaction, non-fulfillment, and unhappiness. Are you a habitual waiter? How much of your life do you spend waiting for the next holiday, a better job, your child to grow up, achieving success, making money, to be important, or to become enlightened? Waiting is a state of mind. Basically, it means that you want the future. You don't want the present. The key is to break the old patterns of present moment denial and present moment resistance. We must learn to withdraw our attention from the past and future whenever they're not needed. Should a situation arise that you need to deal with now, your actions will be clear and decisive if they arise out of present moment awareness. Your response will not be a reaction coming from the past conditioning of your mind, but from an intuitive present moment awareness of the situation. Remember, every moment you're sending out a vibrational energy through your thoughts. This vibrational energy is magnetizing and attracting everything back to you. If you send out a vibrational energy that you don't have what you want in the present moment, you end up with more of the same, having what you don't want. Now, if this is true, and it is, then what could be more beneficial than using this moment to send out a vibrational energy or thought that's in alignment with what you want in your life? And the answer is, nothing is more important. I'm talking about the power of focus in this moment. Ask yourself, am I activating what I want in this moment, or am I focusing on something that doesn't allow me to have what I want? It's important to understand there's nothing wrong with striving to improve your life situation, but you cannot improve your life. Goals are important. The mistake is using them as a substitute for living in the now. You're on a journey, and it's helpful to know where you're going. But don't forget, the only thing that's ultimately real about your journey is the steps that you're taking in the present moment. Remember, this thing that we call time is just an illusion. The only moment is now. All you need to know is now is the only time that exists for you. Quantum physics tells us that the only time that truly exists is now, and the only place is here. Time only exists in your mind. Even though your mind often wants to live in anticipation of the future or in a memory of the past, everything happens now. When do you remember your past? You remember it now. When do you dream of your future? You dream of it now. When do you learn from your past? You learn from it now. When you were actually in your past, it was still now. In other words, if someone asked you what you were doing, they would say, "What are you doing now?" Their reference would be to the present moment. You work towards the future now. You get to your future now. And you live in your future now. You're always here, now. You cannot be anywhere else. There's nothing that you can do in any other moment except now. If you don't believe me, try it. Do something yesterday or tomorrow right now. It's impossible. And if you say, I'll do that tomorrow, and then tomorrow comes, when are you doing it? Of course, you're doing it now. Even tomorrow is happening now. Trying to escape now is like trying not to be where it's all happening right now. That's why all the great teachers have taught us not to worry about the future. They taught us to be present, to be aware, to enjoy the now, to live one moment at a time, and to be conscious. Our life is about a string of moments in time, and so often we stand in our unhappiness trying to improve a future moment. The problem is that this moment is where we're creating what we call our future. Most people are looking toward a future time for pleasure and a feeling of satisfaction, but very few experience it in the now. What you're being, living, thinking, and feeling in the present moment will determine your happiness. And it also determines how much time you spend on worrying about the future. Think of your present moment as your point of power, because it's the only point where you can exercise your full power. For most of us, the present moment exists only as a mental concept. Well, consider this. All your hopes for the future, and even your memories of the past, can only happen in the present moment. The present moment is that one point where everything comes together. When does life start? When does it end? When do cause and effect take place? When is it that we meet every challenge? When do our problems start, and when are they resolved? When do we feel pain? When are we healed? This all happens in the present moment. We've been taught that these moments are separate from each other. But in truth, they all take place in the now. No matter what happens in life, it always happens now. Nothing ever happened in the past. It always happened in the now. And nothing will ever happen in the future. It's going to happen in the now. When you think of the past, it's stored in the mind as a former now. And when you think about the past, when do you do it? You do it now. When the future comes, it comes in the now. And when you think about the future, when do you do it? That's right, you do it right now. The past and the future have no realities of their own. Their realities are borrowed from the now.